Sigma females are truly a special breed of women, and with such great power comes great responsibility, which means that you need to watch out for certain red flags, and men, because of your high value, you should never settle for a man who doesn't meet your standards. Have you ever wondered why some women, despite being incredibly intelligent and self-sufficient, often find themselves at the mercy of manipulative men? Picture this. You're a Sigma female. You're like the superhero of the real world. You're independent, self-reliant, you march to the beat of your own drum, and you don't need validation from anyone. But just like every superhero has their kryptonite, Sigma females have theirs. And unfortunately, that kryptonite often comes in the form of manipulative men. Now you might be wondering, how could this be? I'm a Sigma female, I can spot a phony from a mile away. Well, that's where it gets tricky. You see, Sigma females are often drawn to challenges. They love solving puzzles, decoding enigmas. And yes, that includes the enigma that is the human psyche. But what happens when that enigma turns out to be a manipulative person? Well, that's where things can take a turn for the worse. Because Sigma females are so independent and self-reliant, manipulative men might see them as easy targets. They might think, here's a woman who's so used to doing things on her own she won't even notice if I start taking advantage of her. It's a twisted logic, but that's how manipulative minds work, and this is where humor comes in. Imagine a superhero swooping in to save the day, only to find out that the villain has been using them all along. It's like a comic book plot twist, except it's happening in real life, and you're the superhero. Don't get it twisted though, being a Sigma female is not a weakness. In fact, it's a strength. It's a superpower. But like all superpowers, it needs to be handled with care. So don't let your independence and self-reliance blind you to the red flags that manipulative men might be waving in your face. But don't worry, ladies, we've got your back. We're here to help you spot those red flags. Now imagine a man promising you the moon and the stars. Sounds dreamy, right? But what if he's just an astronaut who's lost in space? Get ready, because we're about to dive into 2 red flags that might indicate a man is taking advantage of you. First up, we have overpromising. It's like that guy who tells you he'll bring you the moon, but can't even locate the Big Dipper. He's all words and no action. He'll make grand gestures, promises of extravagant trips and lavish gifts. But when it comes time to deliver, he's nowhere to be found. It's like ordering a luxury item online and getting an empty box in the mail. An empty box of promises is just as disappointing. Now let's move on to the second red flag, constant criticism. This isn't about constructive feedback or helping you grow. We're talking about the kind of criticism that leaves you feeling like you can't do anything right. If he's more focused on pointing out your flaws than celebrating your strengths, that's a problem. It's like having your own personal Simon Cowell, but without the charm or the British accent. He might criticize your clothes, your friends, your job, even the way you chew your food. It's like having a personal critic who's more invested in bringing you down than building you up. Remember, constructive criticism is about improvement, not belittlement. A supportive partner will encourage you, not tear you down. If you're feeling more like a contestant on a reality show than in a loving relationship, that's a red flag. So, ladies, if he's more interested in criticizing your cooking than Gordon Ramsay, you might want to reconsider. Because you deserve a partner who respects you, supports you, and yes, appreciates your cooking, even if it's just mac and cheese from a box. And that, my friends, wraps up red flags 1 and 2. Stay tuned as we continue to navigate the complex world of Sigma females and the red flags that might indicate you're being taken advantage of. Now let's talk about Mr. Perfect, who seems to have a PhD in playing the victim and treats respect like it's an endangered species. We're diving into red flag number 3, ladies and gentlemen. This one's a biggie: lack of respect. Now, we're not just talking about him forgetting to put the toilet seat down. No, we're talking about a complete disregard for your thoughts, feelings, and experiences. This is the kind of guy who thinks his opinion is the only one that matters. He's got an ego bigger than a Hollywood blockbuster budget, and he's not afraid to show it. And it's not just about him talking over you in conversations or dismissing your ideas. No, it's also about the subtle signs. It's him constantly belittling you, making you feel less than, and constantly undermining your confidence. It's him treating you like a supporting character in the movie of his life. Remember, respect is not a luxury in a relationship, it's a necessity. Moving on to red flag number 4, always playing the victim. Oh, this guy's got it down to an art form. He could win an Oscar for his performances. Every time there's an issue, somehow, he's always the poor, innocent victim. Your concerns? Well, They're just you being unreasonable, according to him. He's got a world-class ability to twist any situation so that he comes out looking like the wounded party. He's got a PhD in victimology from the University of Manipulation. But let's add a dash of humor here. If you find yourself dating an individual who seems to have a superhero complex, always needing to be saved from his own self-created dramas, well, you might just be dealing with a professional victim. And let's be real, who has time for that? This is your life, not a daytime soap opera. You're not obligated to constantly rescue him from his own messes. You're not his personal superhero, and frankly, his drama should not be your full-time job. So if you're seeing these red flags, it might be time to reconsider. After all, you deserve respect and a partner who takes responsibility for their actions. Remember, ladies, it's not a soap opera, and you're not obligated to save the day. Ever met a man who tries to control you more than the GPS on your phone and has the emotional range of a teaspoon? If you're nodding your head, then buckle up, because we're about to dive into red flag number 5 and 6, controlling behavior and emotional unavailability. Let's start with controlling behavior. Imagine this, you're on a diet, and you're counting calories like a math genius. Now picture a man who's more controlling than your diet plan. He wants to dictate who you hang out with, what you wear, and even what you think. He's not your boss. He's not your parent, but he sure is acting like one. That, ladies and gents, is a man showing a red flag so big it could be used as a beach blanket. But wait, there's more. Let's move on to red flag number 6, emotional unavailability. Now we're not saying that every man should be an open book, ready to pour out his deepest emotions at the drop of a hat. But if his emotional range is as limited as a teaspoon, then Houston, we have a problem. Emotional unavailability is like trying to squeeze juice out of a rock. You're not going to get much, and you're probably going to hurt yourself in the process. So what do these two red flags have in common? They both point to a lack of respect for you as an individual. A controlling man doesn't respect your autonomy, and an emotionally unavailable man doesn't respect your need for emotional intimacy. And remember, respect is the foundation of any healthy relationship. So, ladies, if you're dealing with a man who is more controlling than your diet plan and has the emotional range of a teaspoon, it's time to put on your running shoes and hit the road. Because you deserve a man who treats you with respect, values your independence, and isn't afraid to show his emotions. Remember, you are a Sigma female. You are independent, self-sufficient, and strong. You don't need a man to complete you, you're already whole. And anyone who can't see that, well, they're not worth your time. Ladies, if he's more controlling than your diet plan, it's time to hit the road. Lastly, let's talk about the man who treats boundaries like they're just suggestions and blames everyone else like he's playing a never-ending game of pass the parcel. Yes, we're diving into red flags 7 and 8, the last two signs that a man might be taking advantage of you. Let's start with the boundary buster. This is the guy who thinks your no is a negotiable term and your personal space is his personal playground. He's like a toddler on a sugar rush in a toy store, grabbing at everything in sight with no regard for the do not touch signs. He doesn't understand the concept of yours and mine. Everything is ours, or more accurately, his. Now, boundaries are not just physical, but emotional too. If he disregards your emotional boundaries, he's like a reckless driver on the freeway of your feelings, swerving into your lanes without signaling, and leaving a trail of emotional wreckage in his wake. Remember, ladies, your boundaries are sacred, and anyone who doesn't respect them is not worth your time. Moving on to red flag 8, the blame game maestro. This is the guy who has perfected the art of dodging responsibility. He passes blame with the finesse of a professional footballer, always deflecting the ball of fault onto someone else's court. If something goes wrong, it's never his fault. It's the weather, his boss, his childhood pet, or even the alignment of the planets. Here's the thing, Sigma females, everyone makes mistakes, it's part of being human. But a mature individual owns up to their errors. They don't play hide and seek with accountability. So, if your guy is pointing fingers faster than a politician on a debate stage, it's a clear sign he's not ready to man up to his actions. Remember, Sigma females, if he's passing blame like a hot potato, it's time to turn off the oven.